When we cook for others, our first instinct is often aggressive. We feel an urge to go big, trying to perfectly replicate a complex regional dish by maximizing every possible variable. It's the classic amateur's trap, assuming that bolder wines, heavier seasoning, and massive portions create a more premium experience. But stacking intensity on top of intensity will usually backfire. You end up with a meal where the flavors are actively fighting for your attention, leaving the diner overwhelmed rather than satisfied. When flavors fight to be noticed individually, they overwhelm the palate as a single exhausting note. Our meal, the open European table, took the opposite approach. By holding back on the seasoning, the meat, aromatics, and tomatoes became one subtle, cohesive sauce. A truly memorable meal isn't about hitting maximum volume, it's about mastering the art of restraint. We started with a simple, unaggressive Spanish white wine. We paired it with a mushroom tartine, a dish that was intentionally rich and earthy. That tartine is all about texture. You have the soft, juicy mushrooms and creamy cheese coating the mouth, contrasted by the sudden crunch of walnuts and toasted bread. This creates a cycle. The rich bite coats your palate, and the wine's acidity clears away heavy fats. This prevents taste bud fatigue, allowing the next bite to taste as vivid as the first. The wine doesn't need to be the star here. Its primary job is to relentlessly prepare you for the food. For the main course, we made a bolognese. We deliberately held back on the spices, allowing the ingredients to fuse into a subtle sauce. We also practiced restraint in the plating. We served less pasta and more sauce, making the spaghetti a vehicle for the bolognese rather than the main focus. Next, we poured a Chilean Cabernet Sauvignon. When let to stand alone, it was aggressive, high acidity and sharp tannins demanding attention.
But when you introduce the bolognese, the food essentially domesticates the Cabernet, telling it that it doesn't have to shout. The richness of the sauce stops the tannins from feeling so forceful, turning a sharp drink into a rounder, softer companion. The wine stops shouting for attention and begins a complementary conversation with the dish. Pairing isn't about finding two perfect independent items, it's about understanding how the richness of a dish can compensate for the extremes of a wine. We then moved to a Pinot Noir. This was our quiet companion, a softer wine that stays beside the plate without trying to dominate. Dessert was a chocolate pudding with fresh strawberries. This was a sweet, soft dish that lacked the bitter cocoa notes of a dark chocolate. Without that bitterness to play against, the Pinot Noir clashed. It didn't have a role to play in the dish, and the combination felt awkward. So we stopped. We put the wine aside and enjoyed the pudding. Sometimes the most important choice is knowing when not to pair. On paper, this table was a bit of a mess. A Spanish wine, classic French techniques, an Italian main, and Chilean grapes. We broke almost every rule of regional authenticity, yet every course felt like it belonged with the one that came before it. This coherence works because the ingredients act like complementary musical themes. Instead of competing, they align to create a single, harmonious experience. This led to an approach built on small, distinct moments. Every plate introduces a new idea without overwhelming the guest. We gather at the table for connection and conversation. We want to enjoy our time together, rather than obsessing over the technicalities of the menu. A perfect meal is rarely the most intense one. It's the one that uses restraint to create a space where the food, the wine, and the people can all elevate one another.